I'm connected to someone in between. All my data passes through to the hotspot, and I don't know it. There's no alarm that goes off and says, whoop, 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 whoop. You're being hacked. We don't know. It's happened to everyone in this room, whether you know it or not. Because once you do a man-in-the-middle attack, now I can start doing some other exploits that really can steal your data. Here's one right here at the top. It's called SSL strip. What that does is it allows a hacker in a man-in-the-middle of attack to read your passwords in clear text. How? I go to https whatever. I should be safe, right? The problem is that the protocol is set up that if that connection fails under HTTPS, they'll try it at HTTP. And your browser doesn't know the difference. So you think you're connecting up. The hacker tells your browser, oh, that connection failed, but here's the HTTP version. And your browser says, okay. And now, all of your transmission isn't secured by SSL. The passwords, the user login, your banking information is all going in clear text. Anyone can read it. So there's two types of threats. There's an over-the-wire threat. Here's my network. Someone comes into my building and they plug into my network directly. That's a rogue AP. Maybe it broadcasts my SSID. Maybe it broadcasts a different one. But the idea is that my employees are going to connect to that as opposed to where I want them to connect. And these little devices, they're practically invisible. This device, right here, works off this battery pack. So I can put this battery pack, that little sniffing device, in my little pouch here. I can wear it on my belt. I can walk in. You don't notice. Maybe I put it in my backpack. You don't notice. Over the wire threats, there's that rogue AP. If we've set up our network with WPA2, pre-shared key, that's risky. Why? Because if you have the pre-shared key, you can get onto the network. If you give it to your friend, they can get on the network. There's no way to control that. So in a business, WPA2 Enterprise is best, but people are intimidated by setting up a radius server and the requirements for making that work. And sometimes the IT guy doesn't do a good job, and they put in the right access point, but they forget to set any encryption at all. Those are real threats. Banned clients can get on. Unauthorized associations, so maybe I only want my employees to use the company's phone and connect up to the access point, but maybe they get around it by connecting in the guest network or using their own phone and connecting to the corporate. And if I can't tell that that is the wrong client, maybe they inject viruses, malware into my network. And of course, there's MAC spoofing. MAC spoofing is, I take a radio and I change the MAC address on it so that it looks like it's an authorized access point. It looks like it's okay and belongs in my network. And there's no easy way to make certain that that is or is not an access point that should be there. And the over-the-air threats are just as bad. We talked about that man-in-the-middle attack. There's also the denial of service attacks. That's actually very easy to do with wireless. You send what are called DOF packets, boom. Everyone that's connected disconnects. And that's one of the ways these threats happen. If I have this device and I broadcast an SSID that your phone knows about, let's say I go into Starbucks and I log on, I connect up to Starbucks access point. And the bad guy comes in with this device. What he does is he makes one of these radios broadcast Starbucks. And then he sends packets to force you to disconnect from Starbucks. And your phone, being essentially not a smart device, says, oh, here's Starbucks. I'll just connect here. And now, instead of being on the Starbucks AP, you're actually talking to the bad guy, and you don't know it because your phone never told you. Rogue clients. What do I mean by that? Suppose a bad guy has come into my network. They plugged an AP in that shouldn't be there. They broadcast my SSID. And one of my people connect to it accidentally. Don't I want to know that? Wouldn't I want to protect that person, even though they didn't know that they were doing something wrong? There's also the risks from ad hoc. Two computers talk to each other, don't go through the network, don't have any security at all to prevent files from being shared between them. If I'm a network manager, I want to be able to control that. Internet connection sharing. I create a network, I put rules in place, no one can do anything bad, they have to follow the rules. Someone goes and grabs their phone and uses tethering or a personal hotspot and gets around all of those enforcements that I have put in place to keep it safe. This happened on a news program in the US. An investigative reporter wanted to demonstrate just what we're talking about here, the risks of Wi-Fi. So, they went to a hotel, just like this one. The hacker had his laptop, and he went down to the pool. All of us have taken some wireless device to the pool with us. If we see someone with a laptop, we don't think anything of it. He's doing work. He was doing work, but not the good kind. The victim, in this case, was a lady sitting across the pool with her phone in her purse, completely oblivious to what was going on. And what was going on was the attacker with a laptop copied the hotel's SSID. Her phone connected to it automatically, because it's not a smartphone, it's really a dumb phone. He was able to get her credit card numbers off her phone, was able to get her flight itinerary off her phone, email addresses, contact information, all of that was readily available to him. He collected it and then went over and talked to her about it. She didn't know it, was completely oblivious to it. We have that particular story on our website, on a white paper, because this happens all the time. It's happening right here. It's probably happening now. I mentioned Starbucks. This happened in Brazil. You didn't hear about it here. People didn't hear about it in the United States because it was in Brazil. But this guy was pretty smart. He wanted to mine Bitcoin. And he figured out a way to do it by going into Starbucks. He knows that there are guest users in Starbucks. So he creates a fake splash page. He just went out to Starbucks, and when he was logging in, grabbed that image and created his own. Users come in, they connect up. But it's really a man-in-the-middle attack. And what he does is when they've connected up here, they've said, okay, to allowing a script injection into the browsers. And so while they were connected to the network, they mined for Bitcoin. And then sent the information off to him. The customers didn't know it. Starbucks didn't know it. It was by accident that they were caught. Because if they were using their laptop and the Wi-Fi didn't work very well, they're used to that. It happens all the time. When really it was their poor little computer was working to mine the Bitcoin. But they thought it was the Wi-Fi that was a problem. So how easy is it to really attack Wi-Fi? Your phone sends out beacons, probes. And in those probes, all those sites that you've connected to in the past, it includes those. It's always looking. Are you Starbucks? No, you're not Starbucks. Are you the hotel? No, you're not the hotel. Are you my home? Oh, yeah, you're my home. I'll hook up to you. They're always doing that. And it doesn't ask you. If you've already said it's okay to remember this, it does. It remembers the network and it hooks up without you having to worry about it. That's called a karma attack. So it listens for the SSID in your probe bus, stores it, and then cleverly turns around and broadcasts that back to you, and your device hooks up to it. The evil twin, we've already talked about a little. That's where a guy sits outside your office. You have 14 people connected. He copies your SSID. He sends the deauthorization packets. Your employees disconnect. And they go to his device. And they don't know it. And you, as the IT person, don't know it. in the middle. Boom. So how do you stop it? Wireless intrusion protection systems that are smart enough to be able to know these are clients that are authorized to be on my network. These are access points that are authorized to be on my network. These are my neighbors. And these are the bad guys. My WIPS sensors need to be able to understand that. WatchGuard has technology that is patented. No one else can do this. No one. We have a development partner that was just bought by Arista, big enterprise company. They can do this, but Arista is looking at very large enterprises, and WatchGuard is looking at small, medium enterprise clients. And what do I want to be able to do? I want to know the good guys. I want to know the bad guys. And I want to know who my neighbors are and what the access points are in each of those categories. I want to know who's supposed to connect to my network, who's connected to a rogue AP and is trying to get on my network, and who's connected to my neighbors. And what do I want to do with that information? I want to be able to let the correct paths happen and stop the rogues and not bother my neighbors. Right? If you're an authorized client, I want you to be able to connect to an authorized access point. If you're an authorized client, I want to keep you from accessing or connecting to a rogue AP, and I want to keep you from connecting to the neighbor. And of course, I want to stop the neighbors from connecting to us. I want to stop rogues from connecting to us. But up until now, the Wi-Fi industry really has failed everyone in this room. Because the way most companies handle WIPs today, or rogue AP detection, if you're running a network, you are flooded with information every hour of every day. There is no automated method to be able to categorize things properly. You have to do it by hand. It's really hard to configure. Remember I talked about lots of features? Every major company will say they have WIPs, but you can't turn it on. Besides the manual monitoring, it's seldom turned on because the vendors say, don't do this. Don't use this feature. In fact, there's a warning that most of the vendors put when you go to turn WIPs on. It says, extreme caution needs to be taken. You could be breaking the law if you turn this on. So guess what? Most customers don't turn that off. And so all of these threats come into your network. But if we could guarantee with 100% accuracy, this is a friend, this is an enemy, and this is my neighbor, then you could turn it on. You'd be okay. You wouldn't be breaking the law. Your network would be safe. Your users would be safe. And that's what WatchGuard can do. So everyone, all these guys over here, have enterprise APs. They can all scale up to literally hundreds of thousands of access points on a network. So can we. But what we can do that they cannot, we can protect you from those threats coming from rogue APs. We can control how the radios work with a policy. And we can also provide inexpensive, affordable guest engagement. We haven't even talked about captive portals. We only have 37 patents on this technology. When I said no one else has it, I really mean it. There's a white paper on our website called Classification, Detection, Prevention, Your Most Secure Wi-Fi. It talks about a lot of these threats. I offer you to go out to the website and get that, because you'll learn how threatening these things truly are. And so you ask, how do we know? How can we do this? I'm going to tell you the secret of our patents. Get out your notepad, write it down. It's called a marker packet. What a marker packet does is it's signed by the system. And it broadcasts along the wired side to the access points. And then the WIP sensor sees that. So it knows, that WIP sensor knows, oh, this is one of our access points, this is one of our access points, this is one of our access points, uh-oh, there's one that's not. If we don't see the marker packet, then we know it's a rogue. And if we know it's a rogue, we can stop it. And we know that our neighbors are safe. So, how are we going to do this? Our product is called Total Wi-Fi. It has security. It has customer engagement tools. It's a feature-rich product. And we understand if you've already deployed Aruba or Cisco or Meraki or Ubiquiti or whomever, and you want to keep your network safe, you don't want to throw away everything you just had. Instead, we offer you a solution. You can use our APs not as access points, but as WIPS sensors. We can work with any brand, any network that's out there. There's your Meraki network. You plug our access points in, configure them as WIPS sensors. Basically 1 per every 4 access points. And voila, you now have WIPS. Your network is now protected, just as if you had bought your entire Wi-Fi network from WatchGuard, but instead, all you bought are the wireless sensors, the WIPS sensors. Four steps by WatchGuard. Set up WatchGuard. Tell WatchGuard to block those bad things. Click the checkbox and let it go. We got all kinds of access points that can meet your particular needs. Every one of our access points is capable of being a WIP sensor. We have some that are dedicated, that they're always on. We have others that can be made so that they're always on. Just like everyone, we have an easy to configure user interface. we can actually support built-in any major network, Ruckus, Aruba, Cisco, Meraki, built-in. Check, yes, I want to detect rogues. Yes, I want to detect when one of my guys connects up to somewhere that they're not supposed to. Yes, I want to protect against MAC spoofing. Check, check, check. Voila. Now I'm working. So it's pretty easy to see which one of these access points is probably the rogue, right? Hint, hint, hint. So when it's detected, I can send out an email. I can send out an alert. I can send out a live alert on the monitoring. So you will always know when something's happened, but here's the best part. When rogue detection is turned on and WIPS is turned on, not only can I see the threat, I can turn my WIPS as an attacker on those ill-behaving rogue access points and cut off all connections to them. 3 seconds. Click the box on. 3 seconds later, it's categorized friend, foe, neighbor, fix. It's easy to set up how you want to show. I want to display them. I want to email. I want to send a notification. There's one other piece to know. We also can take this access point here and interface it directly to wireless controllers that are in larger networks and seamlessly communicate to and from those controllers to help automate this WIPS protection. So we can make that WIPS that doesn't work on Cisco Meraki, we can make it work with WatchGuard. So what we have after, we're going to take a break because you guys are all tired. We're going to take a short break, but come back because you're going to be surprised that, oh, by the way, I've had some analysis running since I showed you this. It's actually plugged in. And I'm going to show you, actually Jet is going to show you how easy it is to steal your information. And you didn't even know it. So, go have a break, have coffee, wake up, be happy.